I'm broadcasting.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me. Ah, yeah, the medical marijuana. Whoa, 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 ah, yeah, the medical. It's the medical marijuana show. You will know. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, boy, don't feel my world untrue. Yeah, I want to talk to you. My world can be true if you do what I tell you to. I want to talk to you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to Medical Marijuana Radio for Saturday, the 4th of July, 2015. I'm your host, Larry Love, and we're here every Saturday with a new show, a new guest, to bring you the best information on medical marijuana and adult use cannabis from all over the globe. This week, we'll be speaking with Chris Olson, the showrunner and producer of the IndoExpo that will be up in Denver at the Denver Mart on July 11th and 12th. That's only a few days from now, a week from today. So check it out. It's going to be an interesting interview and some great people and great seminars and all kinds of action up there in Denver on July 11th and 12th. So we will have Chris at the second half of the show. But first, as always, I've got some news for you. And we're going to go right to some clips this week. Starting off locally here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, one of the dispensaries got broken into, and this is the report from, I believe it was KOB-TV.
New tonight, we're getting a good look at two burglars caught on surveillance camera in a wild heist.
You saw them drop down through the ceiling, and you can probably guess what they wanted at the Santa Fe medical marijuana shop.
Caleb James has a story.
Yeah, guys, spoiler alert, they were after the weed. And even with alarms blaring inside the Sacred Garden dispensary in Santa Fe, those thieves made off with some very pricey pot.
In the bud business, there's a lot of pricey product on the shelves.
We're definitely a target.
And for Zeke Shorts, that means always having security at his Sacred Garden medical marijuana dispensary in Santa Fe.
They were in and out here in about 2 minutes.
But cameras and even alarms weren't stopping these guys on Friday. Two men literally dropped in on Sacred Garden from the ceiling using a battering ram to smash through a skylight and a mess of razor wire. Nothing could stop this smash and dash.
This is our 7th break-in in 3 years.
So no cash was taken, no equipment stolen. These thieves had stickier fingers.
This was the first time that any product has been taken whatsoever.
The two guys took off with a concentrated cannabis liquid.
About $1,500.
Not the first time, not even the weirdest time. Short says other thieves have been far less lucky.
And didn't get anything and then couldn't figure out how to get out of the building.
But this time, they made off with a lot.
And whoever they are, those two guys are still on the run tonight. Santa Fe Police sure would like your help to catch them. If you know anything, make sure to call SFPD. We, of course, have still shots of those suspects on our website, KOB.com. Tom?
So my unconfirmed sources say that the two gentlemen were identified by somebody, that they lived very close to the dispensary, and they were apprehended, and we'll have to see if anything comes out in the news on that. This just came from my word on the street. So those two guys that broke in have been caught, and the reward of $750 should be issued to the woman who turned them in. So on a good note here, next up, Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey really gave it to Kevin Sabet from that organization called SAM, which is a organization with Kevin Sabet and Patrick Kennedy, who are really against marijuana, but they're very strange people. But anyway, here's Senator Cory Booker giving it to Kevin Sabet just a couple days ago.
I'm still tripping, and I know that that Senator Feinstein rightfully asked to put this in writing, and I see, Dr. Sabet, you can barely contain yourself with your finger on the microphone. What is the difference between Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 in your mind?
Well, it's actually a very technical difference and a very minor difference, and it's not going to make the difference for research. I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, Schedule 2...
Hold on, stop. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you a lot because I have a little time.
Right.
Dr. Ingram just said it makes a big difference. His ability to access Schedule 2 drugs. Dr. Ingram, is that true? Difference in being able to access Schedule 2 drugs for research versus Schedule 1?
Well, we already have Schedule 2.
Right.
You know, we're
It's
already
easier to get, easier to
we
access.
have it as part of our practice.
Right. So with that, I've heard testimony from a doctor, a researcher, that says Schedule 2 is easier to access.
Here's the thing. Schedule 2 is absolutely easier to research, but the issue is it doesn't solve the problem that you want of getting the drugs to folks now.
Already concentrated on that.
And it does not allow you to prescribe it. Right now, we have a Schedule 1 drug that is the date rape drug, Rohypnol, GHB. We have a Schedule 4 that is exactly that Schedule 1 called Xyrem that's used for narcolepsy. There are ways where marijuana does not meet the definition of Schedule 2, and you can create those products, and we should do that.
Clearly, Schedule 2 is easier to access. Clearly, you can do research on it. Clearly, you have drug companies, as Senator Gillibrand just said.
It's a small difference.
Well, then why are you resisting that difference then?
Because we should spend our time doing things that are going to help families now and help researchers now, which are the things that I mentioned about multiple
So you're
sites.
saying to me, sir, stop,
and it's a red herring by the legalization movement. Who wrote the CARES Act?
Excuse me. Clearly, it's optics that you're concerned with. Clearly, this makes a difference, and you're saying this, and you can put your rest of your answers in writing, but clearly, the downside of this, the danger of this, is not that families will be hurt. You're just saying that they will not be helped enough. And so we have not just CBD, as you just admitted, it's an entire marijuana plant that has a lot of other aspects that could potentially be helpful. That right now we have a choke point on the source, and the researcher's unable to get it. And a schedule change may not have the grand difference that people want, but it has a difference in the ability for research to being done. Now, the Senator Gillibrand went through the different diseases and the different challenges we have from our military veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress, from people with cancers and glaucomas and other challenges who can't even get to the point of being in trials, not just for CBD, but for other elements as well. And so, just one more time, Dr. Ingram, you're telling me that you agree that their medical value does exist in the overall study of this plant and its ability to help sick Americans.
Of course. We already use Marinol in our cancer patients every day. I mean, and if we removed plant-based abusive potentials from the market, then you're talking about removing a lot of our current prescription medications. The key for us is we have Americans who are using this already every day in a geographically segregated way, some with tremendous success, and we want to understand that because we want to make that widespread. We want to make it safe, and we want to make it widespread.
And you're a researcher who is doing research right now on Schedule 2 drugs.
I prescribe Schedule 2 drugs every day.
Right, and so the idea that a Schedule 1 drug has no medical application whatsoever, while you're telling me in your testimony that there are potential medical applications, clearly shows that this does not qualify for what a Schedule 1 drug says it is.
So hopefully, it looks like Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey is really one of the people that are championing changing the schedule so that people can get more access to cannabis, especially for PTSD. And it's people like Kevin Sabet and Patrick Kennedy who are really trying to delay things by saying that there's not enough studies and information and science out on this, but there really is, because we haven't been able to do it here. But look at what's going on in Israel and in the UK. We shouldn't make people suffer, and it's people like Kevin Sabet, who we just heard from, that Cory Booker just gave it to. Kevin Sabet is part of the problem, and here's a woman from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, who is crying for legalization of medical pot after her son, who was a veteran, couldn't get any marijuana for his PTSD, and he took his own life. And people are dying because politics is taking a long time to change the situation. Little kids are dying in New York because Governor Cuomo is slowing his ass down and getting this program going there in New York. So here's a woman from Pennsylvania, and it's very sad.
Camp Hill, Cumberland County mother is standing up for medical marijuana after her son suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. He eventually took his own life.
Yeah, well, Fox 43's Rebecca Solomon spoke with a mom who joined dozens of supporters of a drug that remains illegal in the Commonwealth.
These pictures here represent the hell that I went through and that veterans are going through now.
Corporal Barrett Thompson returned from serving 3 tours in Iraq with PTSD and over 40 prescribed medications. Unlike Thompson, Donna Marie Friedman's son will never share his story.
At the height of his sickness and his illness, the VA had him on over 21 pills per day, and a lot of those pills were black box label pills. And the only thing that really helped him was smoking marijuana.
When Corporal Dane Friedman no longer had access to marijuana, he died.
The day that he died, he didn't have access to it. He called around, he went everywhere to try to find some. And that evening, he pretty much ingested a lethal dose of alcohol, and he shot himself in the heart.
Dr. Sue Sisley studies the impacts medical cannabis has on veterans who suffer from depression. She traveled from Arizona to relay a message to Pennsylvania lawmakers.
I'm hoping that these elected officials have the good sense to allow for compassionate access. It's time for common sense to prevail in Pennsylvania.
Doctors say veterans won't get the attention they need until lawmakers act. Currently, the bill is stuck in the House Health Committee, but one state representative is hoping to change that.
I've put a memo out to all of my colleagues, letting them know I'm going to be putting a discharge resolution in on Friday, asking for their support to get Senate Bill 3 out to the entire House floor for a vote.
The bill remains in the Health Committee because the chairman believes the non-FDA approved drug will cause more harm. For now, moms like Donna Marie will continue to rally.
I will fight until my last breath to legalize marijuana for medical use, as I saw firsthand what it did and how much it helped our Dane.
In Harrisburg, I'm Rebecca Solomon, Fox 43 WPMT.
So once again, people like Kevin Sabet and his partner in insanity, Patrick Kennedy, are just trying to say that there's such a big downside of cannabis that they shouldn't be giving it to patients yet, even though there's tons of science coming from all over the world. And here's another one for you, Kevin Sabet. Here's how does marijuana fight brain cancer? So let's get this legal before more people are dying of brain cancer instead of getting rid of brain cancer using cannabis. Here's this report. And once again, here is this report.
And one of the interesting stories is Manuel Guzman and his research team in Spain were looking at brain cell metabolism, and they knew that THC had been found to work with receptors in the brain, so they were curious how THC affected brain cell metabolism. The studies they were doing were done with brain cancer cells because they reproduce really quickly, and you can have a line of cells to study without having to keep buying normal cells. You have your own dedicated line reproducing really quickly, and it's much cheaper than buying them, and you can get basically the same data. So when they started trying to research THC with brain cancer cells, they couldn't do the research because all the brain cancer cells died off. And they, what's this about? They tried again. Brain cancer cells died off, complete death. So they said, wait. They went to the literature, they found the study from 75, so that gave them a clue that they're, what they were seeing
1975
was valid. And they redirected their study away from brain cell metabolism into cancer, brain cell cancer, and how cannabinoids affect it. And they found that THC and synthetic cannabinoids have the ability to change the signaling at a genetic level so that the cancer cells change their biochemistry. Instead of making pro-survival chemicals within the cancer cell, the genetics are flipped so that they start making chemicals that are hostile to their survival, and then they die off. Another thing that the cannabinoids do is to impede the ability of tumor cells to produce blood vessels. In order to eat, because they divide rapidly, they need a lot of nourishment. That's why cancer patients waste. These tumors tap into the host and suck the blood. They're vampires. They drink, tap into the blood system and draw off nutrients. THC inhibits the ability of the cancer tumor cells to produce a compound necessary for producing these blood vessels. This inhibits their ability to thrive and to spread, and once they spread, to get a doc and to survive as a metastasis. So they were really amazed by this and continued their research, and once they published, other researchers started looking at it, and they found similar activity for breast cancer cells, for colon cancer cells, for head and neck cancer cells, bile duct cancer cells, pancreatic cancer cells. So many different lines of cancer cells all responded to THC or synthetic cannabinoids that activate these receptors.
So there's your research for you, Kevin Sabet. You need more information. It's always out there. And here from Leafly, Kevin Sabet. Here is Leafly.com is a great source for all things cannabis. They call Cannabis 101. It's 5 basic cannabis questions answered. So maybe Mr. Sabet should be educating himself some more. There is no downside. It has never killed a single person, but legal things like alcohol and cigarettes have. Leafly Cannabis 101, 5 basic cannabis questions answered right here.
101. Today we've got answers to 5 common cannabis questions. Those of you who are new to cannabis may find this information especially helpful, so let's dive right in. Question number 1. I'm new to cannabis or rediscovering it for the first time in years. How will cannabis affect me? Cannabis affects everyone differently. Different strains and methods of consumption give users different effects, and new users generally feel different effects than more experienced users. There are some people who don't feel anything at all the first time they try it. Many people who use cannabis find the experience to be kind of relaxing and a little euphoric. For some people, it makes them more outgoing and social, but there are also people who report that it makes them tired, uncomfortable, or paranoid. If you're not sure how cannabis will affect you, it's best to start with a low dose. And be sure to ask your local bud tender for recommendations on strains, products, and doses to start with. Question number 2. What is the difference between medical and recreational cannabis? Medical cannabis requires a doctor's recommendation for a qualifying ailment before you can access, purchase, or consume cannabis and cannabis products. Whereas recreational cannabis simply requires that you are over the legal age of 21. But there are also people who differentiate medical and recreational based on how each of them use cannabis. Recreational marijuana users are looking to experience novel states of consciousness, and connoisseurs seek different highs for different circumstances and to create different moods. On the other hand, medical users seek out strains that help with a specific ailment or condition, and oftentimes, patients are looking for strains that help treat the symptom but deliver a milder psychoactive experience. Question number 3. How do I find medical or recreational cannabis? Using Leafly's free mobile app or Leafly.com, you can use the Find Nearby feature to locate recreational stores and medical cannabis dispensaries in your area. You can also find a specific strain you are looking for with the Leafly Strain Explorer. From there, you can click the Nearby tab to find locations in your neighborhood that have the strains and products you're looking for. Question number 4. How long does it take for an edible to kick in? Some people with faster metabolisms may start to feel the effects after about an hour, while people with slower metabolisms may not feel anything for 2 hours or more. The effects generally peak up to 4 hours after eating or drinking it, so it's best to wait at least that long before consuming more. In most places, 10 milligrams is considered to be a dose, which may be just right for some, but others might need a lot more to feel the same effects. Question number 5. How do I safely store my cannabis? It's best to store cannabis in a cool, dark spot that's out of direct light. Keep it in a container, like a glass jar, in order to minimize overexposure to air. Keeping your relative humidity below 65% will help avoid mold and mildew. And while not required, it's always a good idea to separate your strains to preserve their individual flavor profiles. Well, folks, there you have it. 5 quick answers to some common cannabis questions. Stay tuned for another episode when we'll answer even more of your burning questions. If you want to know more, you can always check out the Leafly app or leafly.com.
Again, that's leafly.com, Cannabis 101, and there's some basic questions answered. Now, Kevin Sabet should probably listen to this next piece. A New York woman, 68 years old, claims that a toke a day keeps her healthy and looking much younger than she actually is. And here is this report. No downside, Kevin.
The first hit of the day is always the best.
Catherine Hiller from New York State has been smoking marijuana every day for the past 40 years and has spent an estimated $90,000 on her controversial habit. And the mother of 3 has even written a book explaining why the rest of us should just say yes.
I smoke about a joint a day. I'm happy as a smoker, and I don't see it as a problem. I enjoy doing even more when I'm high. Listening to music, eating, kayaking, sunbathing, these things for me are really enhanced by being high.
The 68-year-old even believes her youthful looks and vitality could be thanks to cannabis.
Does marijuana keep me young? There is a very interesting story. The oldest woman in the world, maybe she was 115, but everyone said, well, why? What do you attribute this long life toward? And she says she's used marijuana every day of her adult life. I think depending upon how you use cannabis, it can indeed enable a healthy lifestyle.
Catherine started smoking weed when she was just 18.
We're talking about the 60s. You could hardly go to a gathering of more than 2 people without someone offering you a joint. All the cool people were smoking then. I mean, it was something I really eagerly looked forward to.
But far from leaving the habit in the swinging 60s, Catherine's continued to smoke weed ever since. And amazingly, she's never had a problem with the law.
I'm really lucky that I've never been searched or stopped or suspected of marijuana possession. I think the reason is 1, my age, 2, my gender, 3, my race, and 4, my milieu. I live in a suburb. Feels good.
Catherine's husband, Mark, is a 52-year-old athlete who rarely smokes pot.
Yeah, Kathy's smoking weed has never been a worry for me. It just using weed makes her a little more languorous, laid back, a little more mellow.
Mark and Catherine are convinced there's far more dope smoking going on behind closed doors than people will admit.
I think a lot of people have a preconceived notion that marijuana is a drug for younger people, and they don't realize that there are a lot of people in their 50s and 60s and beyond who are still continuing to smoke pot.
I've been reading about it, all these puff daddies, so-called, you know, elderly men and women who are, in fact, either returning to weed or have never stopped.
But in the local community of Westchester County, reactions to Catherine's alternative lifestyle are mixed.
I'm in the healthcare field. I'm a registered nurse, and I think that it's good for medicinal reasons. I don't think it's any worse than alcohol. In fact, alcohol probably is more dangerous.
I look at it like this. She's only breaking the law if she gets caught.
I don't know about every day for the past 60 years. I mean, is her memory good? I think smoking an ounce of marijuana a month is way too much.
Westchester County, unfortunately, has the highest property taxes in the country. It's hard to make ends meet. I haven't resorted to marijuana. In fact, that would just be one more expense.
But Catherine won't be changing her ways anytime soon. Her book is a memoir about her love affair with marijuana, and she thinks that detractors should open their minds, as they could also benefit from a little self-medication.
It's a pleasure, but it's not a vice.
If you would like to see what it's all about, I imagine smoking a little marijuana is a pretty harmless thing to do, and you might find you really like it.
So I'm going to try to get Catherine on to talk about her book sometime later in the summer. Now we'll be right back with Chris Olson from the IndoExpo, which will be up in Denver at the Denver Mart, July the 11th and 12th, and that would be next weekend. And so we'll be right back with Chris after these words.
It's all about the 420 MMJ Radio.
I'm Robert Platshorn with Marijuana Facts from the Silver Tour. Data from the National Highway Safety Administration shows that states with medical marijuana averaged a 10% drop in traffic fatalities. According to ForInsuranceQuote.com, marijuana users can expect a lower insurance rate than non-users. Learn more and support more education at thesilvertour.org. That's thesilvertour.org.
Have you ever had a problem with overcooking your cannabis oil? You probably wanted to rip your hair out when you burned off all the THC, right? I even cried one time when my brownies failed to make a good impression at the party. Well, I stopped crying when I found Magical Butter. Magical Butter is a device with a microprocessor-controlled program sequencer. It was designed by a scientist and a chemist to precisely extract the benefits of various herbs. Magical Butter easily makes botanical butter, oils, tinctures, lotions, sauces, and more. Magical Butter heats your oil and your herbs at the perfect temperature every time. Check us out at magicalbutter.com because it's magical. Okay, there's a lot of science and chemistry involved, but it sure works like magic.
Again, for your tinctures, butter, and oils, that's magicalbutter.com. This is a great appliance. Use coupon code LOVE to get $20 off.
I'm Robert Platshorn with Marijuana Facts from the Silver Tour. Data from the National Highway Safety Administration shows that states with medical marijuana averaged a 10% drop in traffic fatalities. According to ForInsuranceQuote.com, marijuana users can expect a lower insurance rate than non-users. Learn more and support more education at thesilvertour.org. That's thesilvertour.org.
Hi, as you know, over the next few years, the cannabis industry is going to explode into a multi-million-dollar industry. 420webdesign.com is your affordable design provider. 420 Web Design prides themselves on fair prices and a grounded staff. They listen to their ganjapreneurs' website needs. Getting into the marijuana industry doesn't need to break your bank. Our sites come with tons of features. Just a few of them include responsive designs for mobile viewers, easy to update platforms, built-in SEO and SMO tools, enterprise-level security, video tutorials, database backups, Google Maps, onboard analytics, and much more. This is backed by a decade of website design and development experience. For all of your 420 web design needs, go to 420webdesign.com. Again, 420webdesign.com. Check them out.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana radio show.
Hi, this is Steve D'Angelo, and you are listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
And we're back. And on the line, we have Chris Olson from the IndoExpo conference, which is being held July 11th and 12th up in Denver at the Denver Mart. And the IndoExpo conference features top experts from around the world. This comprehensive conference will cover all aspects of cannabis and the hemp industry. This highly interactive event provides the opportunity to network and learn. Opportunities are available for post-discussion to participate in breakout sessions. Welcome once again, Chris Olson. There seems to be a conference like every other couple of weeks now up in Colorado or somewhere in the cannabis world. You have a really fantastic lineup, so tell us about how yours is a little bit different.
Okay. Hi, Larry. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
So we do, yeah. There have been quite a few of these events going on lately, but we do feel like ours is a little bit different. We're not as finance or investor savvy as some, and we're also not, a cup or a promo party. It's not a lot of suits, and it's not stoners and concrete. It's really an industry show built for the industry and presented by the industry also. So what you have at our show is a lot of seasoned vets, a lot of real growers, a lot of people that are in the know. They've been, a lot of them, I'd say, have been fighting a good fight for quite some time, for decades, and now we're finally here. So it's pretty exciting. We do have a lot of great people at the show this time. We did add a conference to the expo, so the National Cannabis Chamber of Commerce has taken that sponsorship and has brought in some really interesting topics. I'm going to just graze over most of this stuff because it would take too long.
Sure.
To tell you about everything.
Give us the highlights. Give us the highlights.
Yeah, some of the.
Yeah.
Sure. Some of the big topics for the conference would be the tribal nations. That's a big hot topic issue right now. So there'll be some chiefs there and some people talking about the tribal nations and what's coming up next and what we, trying to forecast how this is going to unfold. We have a big thing on hemp, a big thing on banking solutions, and so those are the main. I'd say those are the main topics of the conference: tribal nations, hemp, HR, running a dispensary, things like that. All industry-related topics, and that's $99 for that conference. It also gives you all access to the event, so all the workshops, demonstrations, the seminars. Our launch party, our VIP party, that's all included in the $99 conference ticket. It's a really, really good value, and it's also by far the most affordable in the country. I just left a show last week that was $900 just to walk in the door and $150 for conferences. We're trying to be affordable.
How was the attendance? Sorry? How was the attendance on that one?
It was not as strong as I'm sure as they expected. Again, I think the Denver market's getting a little saturated, but then again, too, I think people are starting to wise up and realize, I don't have to spend thousands of dollars to come and talk to some people and get some good knowledge and learn something about the industry. And we don't really go for that exclusivity thing, like if you want to sit in the room with the big boys, you got to pay the big dollars. We really want to share this information and educate and network and connect people and help the industry progress as opposed to keeping it so exclusive. So, the turnout was okay at that event. It wasn't great. And frankly, we like to be the strong Colorado show. And so when CannaCon and NCIA and these other shows come here, it's like, it starts to feel like enough's enough. Take it somewhere else. We've got this covered here. We're not running to Washington to pop off a CanCon. We'd appreciate it if they keep their successful show where it's successful and let ours. We don't want to cannibalize each other's events. Is the whole point.
Well, that makes sense.
I like to help.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm not going to say anything bad about any of these other events. They're all trying. It's not easy. But we put a lot of work into this, and we don't want everyone's efforts to be spread so thin that nothing can be successful. So we think if there's 3 huge events in 1 month, that we're really starting to cannibalize each other's business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think people need to plan, and a lot of people like to go to multiple events, but when they're crammed so much together, it makes it harder for people to travel from around the country to come to something like this.
And we have some vendors that I swear they're doing a show every weekend across the country, and you might have put on 3 events in a month that they wanted to be at, and it's like you got to think of how they're getting beat up too. I mean, they can only be so many places at once.
Right.
I got guys that are hiring reps left and right just so they can have a body in a booth, and so
So the let me ask you this: the $99 is that for that's all for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, the 11th and 12th, and
correct.
And does that include the seminars and everything? Is that one price for the conference and the seminars and the exhibits?
That's correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's correct. So typically, like the way our expo works is Saturday is industry only. If you're thinking about getting in the industry, you can, it's free to all buyers. So if you own a dispensary, if you own a grow store, a hydro center, a smoke shop, anything of that nature, you're absolutely invited to come for free and shop. We built this show for you. Okay. And now if you're thinking about getting into the industry, you have an earnest interest, you're not quite set up as a business, we can badge you as an industry professional for $55 on that Saturday. Now, Sunday is open to everyone, to the public. We're doing a job fair. We're asking people to bring their resumes. That fee is $30 at the door. So if you put 55 and 30 together, you're at $85. The conference only costs $99, and it gives you access to everything. The parties, 2 parties, workshops, seminars, expo, demonstrations, conference, 2 big parties. So honestly, if you're traveling from anywhere outside of Denver, I really feel like the $99 conference is the value for you. Of course, you can come and go as you please. If the one conference isn't, interesting to you, you want to get up and go shop or go have lunch, or you have free reign of the entire venue for 2 days. That's really the best value going right now. That's $99, and those tickets are available online at www.IndoExpoCo.com.
And as far as hotel rooms are concerned, are there certain places that you maybe have some discounts set up for, and are there plenty of rooms available for people who are traveling?
There are. We on our website, again, at www.IndoExpoCo.com, we have a list of hotels. We even have a list of cannabis-friendly hotels. We suggest to people, just for convenience, that they stay at the Comfort Inn. It's annexed to the Denver Mart, so it's literally connected. You get up, you have your free continental breakfast, and you walk through the double doors, and you're in the complex. That is by far the most convenient place to stay. If you want nicer digs, something the Hyatt or, the Wyndham or something like that, we also have that information on our website. Again, though, you'd have to integrate taking a cab.
Right.
The Comfort Inn is nice because of the convenience. That's the nicest way to put it.
A couple years ago, the Wyndham had like a shuttle service going over to the High Times Cannabis Cup. Are they going to have a?
Yeah, and they do have shuttles. We just can't guarantee you, the shuttle will get you there exactly when you want to be and things like that. But between the cabs, the hotel shuttles, Uber, all those things, there's plenty of ways to get there. The Denver Mart is not far away at all from downtown. It's a 5-minute drive from downtown Denver. But the only reason we recommend the Comfort Inn is because of the convenience. It's so close. And if you mention IndoExpo when you're getting your room, you receive a discount. I believe it's $20 or $30 off.
Wow, nice.
We did go through the trouble of getting some block room rates for Indo. So that's places to stay. We have a Friday night launch party at a cannabis club called Smoke. And that's Friday night. That's the guys from THC Hemp Connoisseur have kicked off that club, and so we're super excited about having our launch party there. And then Saturday night, we have a VIP industry party at Green Labs. It'll have music, food, a big social mixer. It's going to be a blast, and we're expecting hundreds of people to show up at that event.
Now,
So that's
because
something fun.
those are
Sorry, go ahead, Larry.
those are private events, right? So, what is the legal consumption of cannabis is okay there?
These are private events. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. It's typically the way these events work is it's invite only or membership. It's BYOC. We are not promoting that there's a party where people are selling cannabis or anything like that. But it's a private event. At a what we call residential/commercial zone properties where these types of things are currently allowed in Denver.
So I'm guessing that at the conference and the seminar and all the exhibits, there's no smoking in any of the Denver Mart. There's no area for that at all.
There is not. But what's cool about our show? See, now we're definitely cannabis friendly. We're very cannabis friendly. We have no problem if somebody wants to step outside and take a little privacy and do their thing. But at the venue itself, there is no smoking, there's no selling, consumption, distribution, anything like that. But we do have plants at our show. We do have cuttings. We do have seed companies. And we do have people that are handing out, like, say, coupons or vouchers. You can come down to the shop and pick up a free cut, clone. You can come by the shop and get some free seeds or things like that. So there's a lot of things going on as far as hemp, obtaining genetics, and talking to people that are in the know about different strains and things like that. One of the really cool things that we have is we have Adam Dunn and Bubba Kush and Mitch from La Plata. So we've got a nice panel for breeding and genetics.
Are they going to be? They're going to be broadcasting, the Adam Dunn show from there. Have you talked to them?
I know Adam Dunn is actually flying back from Chalice Festival in Southern California. He's flying back just to do Indo and doing his seminar speaking on our Sunday afternoon. In addition to him, I'm not sure if he'll be broadcasting, if he specifically will be, but we do have a large press area. Of course, Larry, you're invited to come down and broadcast from the show. We've set it up with extra boosters with our Wi-Fi and everything so that radio stations and magazines that do live broadcasting can actually stream live from the event. So
have you
last
talked?
year we had a huge press section, and we had like the Wall Street Journal and a bunch of radio shows and things like that. So you're definitely invited. We'd love to have you come up.
Thank you for that. I'll see if I can make that work. I don't know that I can, but Medical Marijuana Radio is heard on K-High 1580 AM Colorado Springs. I don't know if you're in touch with them, but they are an AM station that's 24 hours of cannabis and marijuana talk and information.
Very cool. Very cool. No, I need to look for that. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about that. We actually got a new one here in Denver, too, just recently, 94.1. It's a smoking hits or something. It's like the first FM cannabis-friendly radio station that I've seen yet in the country. Most of them have been online, so
right.
We'll see how that pans out with the FCC and everything. But as usual, we wish everybody luck in this industry. We're all kind of fighting a good fight. We're trying to make this happen and get the weirdness behind us so that we can just live normal lives and have this be part of our lives.
Absolutely. Well, federally, some of this stuff is going to have to change in order for that to really happen and let us sleep at night, because if we get a change of the Republicans get in next time, it could be big trouble, especially if
that's right.
The big jerk from New Jersey, where I'm from,
oh my gosh, I know.
He's such an idiot. But let me tell the folks something really important. For $99, of course, you get the whole run of the 2 days and the seminar and the exhibits and the conferences and so forth. But for me, one of the highlights certainly is Kyle Cushman, who is a master grower, and Kyle is involved with Buds and Roses collective in Studio City, California, and he's growing great strains there, and he's responsible for the Cherry Lopez and this Strawberry Cough, and he's going to be having, I think, he's going to have more than one talk as a master grower. Is it one each day, or is it?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. We got such a good response on having Kyle present at the show that we asked him, would you be willing to speak both days? And of course, he's very accommodating probably one of the coolest guys in the industry, and really just wants to share the knowledge and the wealth with people. I love what he's doing with Vegan Matrix, and no GMOs, all plant-based nutrient solutions. This is important stuff right now, especially right now in the industry. There's so many people jumping in the industry. They're all like, grow as much as I can, as fast as I can, and manipulate stuff and spray systemic pesticides. And, we have to have some regulation and some understanding of how to grow properly and try to keep that culture alive. And I think that Kyle is a great example of a person that is helping to do that. And so we're really, really happy to have Kyle speaking both days at the event. So we actually gave him an extra long seminar. He'll be speaking for at least an hour with a half hour of Q&A after both days, Saturday and Sunday. You have Adam Dunn and Bubba Cush and Mitch from La Fada, and you have those guys have their own seminars. We also got the Stanley brothers to come and speak. So in one day, you've got all three of those seminars. You've got the breeding and genetics, you've got Kyle Cushman, master grower, and you've got the Stanley brothers with Realm of Caring and all those shows you've seen on CNN with Dr. Sanjay Gupta and stuff. All those stories were specifically about them, their organization, and the good work they're doing, helping kids with seizures and slews of other medical conditions. So it's an honor to have these heavy hitters at our event. We're really happy, and we hope that we can share that with all the people that come.
And again, that's $99 for the whole weekend. That's the best deal happening there. Just incredible panels and so forth. Just to see Adam Dunn and Mitch Sanasa, and is Dave from the Hemp Connoisseur? Is he speaking at all on hemp or anything?
David and Cristiano are both going to be there. They're going to be broadcasting live from the THC Hemp Connoisseur booth.
Fantastic.
They are great friends of ours. They've actually, Cristiano, who's David's partner, has been helping us with, doing all our layouts for our book and a lot of our marketing and stuff like that. So not only are they good friends, they're super solid industry people. And the launch party is actually happening at their new club, which I believe is called Smoke, and it's out on Colfax in Denver. And we're super excited about that and pushing some industry people towards their brand new club that just opened up. So this is really what we do. This is why this show is so industry strong, is because we're connected with the people here. It's hard to come from out of town and pop off an event here and have it be successful, because although Denver's big and it's somewhat of a tight-knit group of people, and so we really are the industry here, and we all work together and make these things what they are.
Sure.
So we wouldn't be able to do it without the help of all the people, including people that are, in the southwestern states, and people like yourself, and just all these people that kind of come together and help support events like this. This is really what it takes.
I know there's a lot of people that come up from New Mexico here to go to these shows, and I know a bunch that are going to your show. Now, this is your second one. You had your first one last year.
That's right.
I'm going to ask you an interesting question. I hope you have an answer for it. What did you learn? What did you learn from last year's show that makes this year? What are you doing a little bit differently?
What are we doing differently? What's funny is that we talk about that all the time. What do we learn, and what do we learn here? We realized that we learned a lot about the industry and the way people think and the way they behave, and the way that everyone's trying to forecast what's going to happen next and what's the right show for me to be at, and I want to be in front of this audience, or no, I think I want to be in front of this audience, or maybe I only want to sell to stores, but I also kind of want to sell some rolling papers or vape pens to somebody on Sunday. So there's a lot of confusion as to, you have to look at everything. You have to read the climate. You have to be a thermometer. You have to look at politics. You have to look at demographic. You have to look at all these different things. And you have to look at the fact that there's 500 shows going on in a year, and it's just crazy trying to kind of pin this to the wall, figure out this is exactly what we should be doing. It's near impossible. But what we've learned is, as long as we try to work with everyone and help them with whatever their agenda is, and try to incorporate that into the show, that it does make us stronger. I think the difference with us is that we're very affordable, that we really do care about the industry, that we give back to the industry, that we support the local industry and the national industry, that we bring in information and education and things that are interesting to people anywhere. So we've got people in Georgia and Texas and Florida that are flying all the way up here because they see the value and they see that they have something to walk away with, and they're excited, and like that's what is rewarding to us, is that we're actually being able to put a good image on the industry, paint a positive picture, show that there's benefits here, show all the jobs that have been created, that the sky hasn't fallen, since this started, that's really what we're.
Not only that, but 62 kids haven't died from overdoses of marijuana, which was a report that came out of Arizona a week or so ago. There's so much misinformation out there that it's nice to have a educational program like the IndoExpo is going to be, and of course, again, that's July 11th and 12th, Saturday and Sunday, just coming up in another 9 days. And if you want to learn about what's happening in the cannabis industry, whether it's the banking problems, the insurance problems, how to grow with Kyle Cushman and breeding with Adam Dunn and Mitch Sanasa, this is the place to go. Very reasonable, $99 for the whole weekend. And you can go to IndoExpoCO.com. That's IndoExpoCO.com. Check them out. The list of conferences is there. The seminar schedule, all the exhibitors. It's really loaded, and this is the place to be this summer if you want to party with the VIP parties that are happening, and if you want to learn about the cannabis industry. So, Chris Olson, good luck again. If I don't make it, I'm definitely sending somebody there that's going to give me some reports from the IndoExpo. And the Kyle Cushman, Adam Dunn stuff alone is worth the price of admission. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry.
My pleasure. And we'll be right back after these words. Happy 4th, everybody.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California, well, to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. I tell you, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking down that ribbon of the highway, I saw above me all that endless skyway. Now I saw below me that golden valley.
medical marijuana. The medical marijuana radio show.
Thank you, Chris Olson, and everybody out there. Don't forget, a great show coming up next weekend, the 11th and 12th at the Denver Mart in Denver, Colorado. Check it out. I want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. Don't forget my weekly 5 or 6 minute show called Wednesdays with Larawana. That's Wednesdays with Larawana on CanawanaBuy.com. CanawanaBuy.com for all of your cannabis needs, whether you're a head shop, a dispensary, a cannabis user. CanawanaBuy.com, fast shipping, good prices, and check them out. If you would like to write this show for any suggestions, it's info@mmjradio.com, info@mmjradio.com. If you'd like to hear some past episodes, we're 6 years in the making here, you can go to mmjradio.com. Also, my YouTube channel, LSLove88. TimeForHemp.com puts it up on iHeartRadio and on Spreaker. You can go to CannabisTube.net. CannabisTube.net. Also, OnNowTV.com. OnNowTV.com, channel 937. Also, KHI 1580 AM Colorado Springs, 420radio.org, Pothead Universe Radio, and also on the Roku box, it's the US Weed channel. That's right.